sauce.
Oh, yeah. Let's get saucy.
All right, we are moving on. We are on to our last section of the day. It's called paradoxes.
Motherfucking paradoxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Now, when we were researching this thing, we ran into a bunch of weird shit.
Sure did.
A lot of shit we couldn't even wrap our heads around, all right? So we threw all of that bullshit out, and it's gone, and we got the best of the best.
Yes, we do.
All right, so we got 5 of them for you that you can wrap your head around. So we've narrowed it down to the 5 paradoxes that you can easily wrap your head around, and we're going to explain them to you and how they work, and we're going to have some fun with them.
Right.
All right, the easiest one that most of you kind of know about, that's the whole paradox category itself that's described by one term, is catch-22.
Yep.
All right. Jay Stevens, what's a catch-22, bro?
All right, so Catch-22 is actually a book from Joseph Heller. It's about a pilot who's supposed to go to war, but he doesn't want to go to war.
Right.
So he goes to the doctor and tells the doctor that he's crazy, right?
Yep.
So the doctor's like, no, you must be sane, because if you were crazy, then you wouldn't want to go to the war.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because you'd have choices of
Yes,
what you'd want to do.
exactly.
So if you chose to actively want to go into air combat, that meant you are obviously
Not crazy.
not crazy.
You're
yeah,
sane.
exactly.
So by him saying he's crazy made the doctor say he was sane.
Right.
Right.
And then that was one of a few different examples, right?
Right,
yeah.
right.
So that's where the term catch-22 comes from. It's kind of the generic, stereotypical paradox.
Right.
We got some other ones for you, though, that are pretty fun and cool, all
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So that's the one you probably know about. Here's the next one on our list. It's called the boy-girl paradox,
Yeah.
all right? So what this says is if a couple has children and they have 2 children, what is the probability that their second child is a boy?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you would probably think like, well, every time you have a child, it's
50-50 chance.
50-50 chance, right? You could either be a boy or a girl. Well, this paradox doesn't say that. What this one says is basically if you look at the combination of all the children that a couple could have, you got 4 combos. You got boy, boy, girl, girl, boy, girl, and girl, boy.
Right.
All right? So basically 3 out of the 4 combinations involve a boy.
Yes.
Right? So what is the chance of them having a boy on their second child? You would think, well, the first one's 50-50 and the second one's 50-50, but it's not. Once you have the first child that's a boy, it becomes 50-50 because no longer can you have the older girl, younger boy combo, and no longer can you have the girl-girl combo.
Right.
But when you look at it from before that and you say a couple's going to have 2 children, what's the probability of their second child being a boy? That's when the probability turns
Expands,
into
right.
a 3 out of 4 chance instead of a half-half.
Exactly.
Right? Because you have the possibilities of boy, 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 girl, as him as the older brother, and then him as the younger brother. But there's no possibility of the girl, girl.
Right.
So that's that paradox. Weird kind of way to think about that. And actually,
It is. Yeah, well, I mean, it is. I mean, you would just automatically think every time, you have a kid,
Right.
you have a 50-50 shot.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't matter,
right.
Right.
So that's kind of a weird one. And a lot of these paradoxes, you do kind of have to rewire the way
Right,
you're
and
thinking about it.
this is only under circumstipulations. This is like you're assuming you're going to have 2 children, and this is like what the odds are before you've even had the first one.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If you have the first one and you already know, then yes,
Right.
it's still a 50-50 chance because like we just explained to you.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to the next one that's pretty cool and fun is called the crocodile paradox.
Yeah, that one's weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So basically what this one says is you got a mother. She's chilling. She got her son. They take a little trip on down to the river.
Oh, yeah.
She turns around real quick to grab her phone, turn on the new jam.
She's saying, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Oh, yeah, she was.
Yes, she was.
They were at the waterfalls.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Crocodile Falls, bro.
Oh, yeah,
All right?
Croc Falls.
That's right. So they were at Crocodile Falls. She turns around to throw on the TLC jam.
Oh.
And the crocodile comes out of the water, snatches the boy. All right. Now, here's where the paradox kicks off. She turns around and she's panicked, right? She's hysterical, going, hey, give me my son back. And he says, all right, this is what I'll do for you. If you can guess what I was going to do with your son, then I will give him back to you.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
simple enough.
yeah. Here's where the paradox is, all right? So if she can guess what he's going to do, he will give the kid back. So let's look at scenario one. Scenario one is she says, hey, I think you're going to give the kid back. You know, you look like you were kind of feeling that TLC jam, kind of grooving a little bit.
Yeah, we can all get a dance on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You look like you had more interest in the song than my boy. I think you're going to give him back.
You going to give him back.
He says, you know what? You're right. I love TLC. That's my fucking jam.
That's my jam.
And yes, I was going to give your son back. You were right.
Here it is.
You get the son back. All right. Option number two is she says, you know what? I don't think you were going to give
You don't like TLC.
Yeah, you don't like TLC. You were kind of like not too happy when I turned this one on.
No.
That's maybe why you came and snatched my son from me. I don't think you were going to give him back. And he says, you know what? As a matter of fact, you were right.
You're right. I wasn't going to.
I wasn't going to. And by default, since you knew what I was going to do, I'm going to give your son back to you. All right. So 2 scenarios, she gets the son back.
Right.
Here's where it gets sticky. All right. Because the next option is she goes, well, hey, I thought you were going to give my son back. And he goes, well, no, I wasn't going to give you your son back. You were wrong. I'm keeping the son, right? We knew that would happen. But here's the one that's messed up. Yeah, that's
the simplest of the ones.
Right. Here's the one where the paradox kicks in. Because if she says to the crocodile, well, I don't think you were going to give him back because you're a crocodile and you were jamming to my, he's going to say, well, as a matter of fact, I was going to give your son back. But the fact that you couldn't guess what I was going to do, then I'm not going to give your son back.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it.
Keep it. So that's where the paradox lies because she's trying to get her intended outcome. But by saying that, she negates what she wants out of it.
Exactly.
So if she says, oh, I thought you were going to give him back, or I thought you weren't going to give him back. Well, he says, well, in fact, I was, but you were wrong. So now I'm not going to.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
Yeah. So that's a cool little paradox called the crocodile.
Mind trick kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, here's another one that's pretty cool and weird in itself. Is this one's called the observer paradox.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the observer paradox strictly states that something changes if you just merely observe it. All right. If you merely observe something happening, then it changes the outcome of it, okay? Now, where they went along with this was there used to be a factory, right?
Right.
And the job performance was coming down. They were complaining, and the boss says, what the hell's going on? Why is all the performance coming down?
Right.
And they said, well, look, boss, it's hot as a mofo in here. We can't work. It's too hot. All right, so they said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to put some windows in for us, keep it a little cooler in here. So the boss put some windows into the factory, and he says, all right, let's see if it works. So boss man and all the other VPs and stuff are watching to see if these windows are helping. Well, guess what? Sure enough, it did help.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so they're like, cool. The windows work. Everybody's happy. Job performance is up.
Right.
All right. Well, after a while, the job performance started coming back down.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what they saw there was they were going, well, what the hell? We gave you the windows. The job performance should be up. And so they went back there and checked it. They shut the windows this time, and they watched them. What they found, too, is the job performance went back up. Basically, the variable that made the job performance go up was not the window and the workers being more comfortable. It was the observer observing the situation.
Right, but you would think that in any sort of scenario, in a job scenario, right? Like,
right.
If your boss is watching you work, you're probably going to work harder than if they weren't.
Exactly.
Or more efficiently or whatever.
Right. And that's what this paradox says.
Right.
But also, this has been, this is true for other parts of life. We can kind of relate to this out here being foreigners in Asia.
Right.
From our experience, if we're out somewhere in public and a Taiwanese family comes up next to us, sometimes you'll hear them switch into English.
Just sprinkle a few words in there.
Yeah, so you'll hear like the mother, the dad say, they'll come up, see a foreigner, us standing right there, and you'll hear the parents say to the child like, okay, let's go, time to go, you go to the car,
right.
Something like that, you know?
Right.
If we weren't there observing that situation, they would have said it in full Chinese.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So that's
No
the
doubt.
same thing with the observer paradox.
Right.
Nothing's changed with the situation.
Right.
The same exact things, exact same time and place.
Right.
Nothing within the situation has changed, but something observing the situation changes the outcome.
Correct.
All right, so that's the observer paradox. Pretty cool. And getting down to our number one
Yep.
on the list, which is
Bit of a mind fuck.
yeah, It is, but it's fun, and it took us a while to wrap around it, and we're going to try to simplify it and make it easy for you, all right?
Sure.
If you're a little bit older listener, I know my mom's watching and listening out there. She remembers this game show. It's called Let's Make a Deal.
Yep.
All right? The famous Monty Hall.
Monty!
All right? Famous TV show back in American TV, back in the 70s and stuff. He had a game show called Let's Make a Deal.
Right.
Now, the premise of this show was you had 3 doors and you had the contestant. Now, the 3 doors, 2 of them contained goats.
Yep.
And 1 of them contained a nice set of wheels.
A Lamborghini.
A lamp. Was it? They got Lambos back then?
They had Lambos back then.
I don't know. Maybe. All right, we're going with it, bro.
Why not?
We're giving away Lambos, all right?
cares?
Monty Hall, if you weren't giving away Lambos, we were.
are.
We got our production assistant, Zamora. She has joined the show. She is coming right up here. There you go. Okay, so you play the game show like this. He says, pick any door you want to. See if you can win the Lambo. So you pick one door.
So you have a 33.3% chance at this point.
Exactly. 2/3 chance you pick the goats. 1/3 chance you pick the Lambo, all right? Now, after you pick, he lifts one of the doors and shows you, all right, actually, goat was behind door number 3. You chose door number 1. Now, would you like to change your guess?
Yeah.
Would you like to change from door 1 to door 2? Or would you like to change with door number, or would you like to stay with door number 1?
Correct.
Now, here's where the paradox lies, because you'd be thinking that you originally had a 1 1/3 chance. If you chose it right, you chose it right.
Right.
But if you didn't choose it right, you didn't choose it right. Like, what's the difference if you take away one of the wrong answers,
Correct.
right? That's not how it works, okay? The reason it doesn't work like that is because once the host gives you some more information, the odds have changed.
Yes.
Right? So before, it used to be you had a 1 1/3 chance of guessing what it was, right? Now he's revealed one of the doors to you, and you already know one of the answers is not the answer, okay? One of the doors is not the answer. Now you have it down to a half and half chance. So by switching and choosing the new door, you've now picked a new answer within your 50-50 chance instead of choosing an answer where you were locked into your probability of 1/3 only.
Right.
All right. So if you ever were a contestant on that show and you picked a door and you stuck with it, you fucked it up.
Yeah, and I mean, if you did make it, the odds were against you.
Right. And it's still a weird thing. I mean, even it took us
But
a while.
I don't think it's 50-50 when it jumps up. I think the odds go to like 66%. That's why you're supposed to change. Because if it was a 50-50 and you just kept it the same, then it wouldn't matter.
No, because you originally had a 33%
Yeah,
chance.
so
and
no,
now
and then
you've
once-
increased to 50.
But when you take the 1 away, I think it increases to 66 if you change it. So you have better. So that gives you reason to change it. Because if it was just 50-50, why would you change it?
Because you have a better percentage from 33. Originally, it was you had a 1 in 3 chance, and now one of them's out of there. Now
Right.
you have a 1 in 2 chance. So you know that, like, now you get to you're choosing between those two. Whereas your original guess of the 1 of 3 was part of the 1 in 3.
But if the odds, okay, so let's say that the 1 door's out, and there's only 2 doors left.
Right.
If the odds 50-50, what's the motivation to change?
Because before you had a 33% chance, and now you have a 50-50 chance of guessing it.
Right.
Yes.
See, this is why it's a mind fuck.
This is why it's a paradox. If you're having trouble understanding, or if you have some light on it, shed it to us. That's the way I understand it. That's the way we understood it. Jay Stevens sees it a little differently. That's why we put it on the list, because it is cool and it does make your brain itch and hurt.